Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I'm Princess Abiwa sa Pauda from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to Balitang Pambansa. Tonight's headlines. The palace believes that the government's programs to alleviate poverty has been effective, as indicated in a survey conducted by Okta, wherein the number of Filipinos who consider themselves to be poor went down significantly. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. leads the meeting de avance of the Alianza para sa Bagong Pilipinas in Mandaluyong City. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is now fully prepared for the holding of the 2025 midterm elections. On top of the news, results of the latest Okta Tugon ng Masa survey shows more Filipinos not seeing themselves as living in shiftless poverty and a state of abject hunger. Veritable proof that government social services and economic development programs are making a dent in the administration's efforts to lift more and more Filipinos out of the poverty line. Our Kenneth Paciente fills us in with the numbers and government's vow to work even harder in this report.
Michael earns 700 to 1,000 pesos per day as a tricycle driver. Although it's not a large amount, he says it's enough for him, his wife, and child to get by each day.
Opo, kaya naman po. Nakakain naman po ng 3 beses. Naibibigay ko naman po yung pangangailangan po ng anak ko.
Michael is an example of the millions of Filipinos who no longer consider themselves poor. In the Tugon ng Masa survey by Okta Research this April, the number of Filipinos who consider themselves poor dropped to 42% or 11.1 million, down from 50% or 13.2 million in November 2024. Those who consider themselves food poor also dropped to 35% or 9.2 million, compared to 49% or 12.9 million in November 2023. Self-rated hunger also dropped from 16% to 13%. Malacanang welcomed this development but said there is no room for complacency. Instead, efforts will be intensified to sustain this momentum and the government will continue reducing poverty in the country.
Ibig sabihin, nararamdaman na rin po ng mga taong target po ng mga programa ng Pangulo patungkol po dito sa kagutuman. Nararamdaman naman po nila ang pag-angat, ang improvement. At sisikapin po ng ating Pangulo at ng administrasyon na lalo pang mapalawig ang mga programang ito para po mas lalo maiangat ang buhay po ng ating mga kababayan.
The President also welcomed the recorded increase in the country's gross domestic product in the first quarter of the year. According to Malacanang, this is proof that the government's efforts are bearing fruit, but there is still work left to be done.
Lalong pagbutihan ang trabaho, lalong maging concern sa mga pangangailangan ng taong bayan.
From PTV Manila, Kenneth Paciente, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has extended his warm congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis, Prevost of the United States, who was recently elected as the new leader of the Roman Catholic Church and has assumed the papal name Pope Leo XIV. The chief executive conveyed his greetings on behalf of millions of Filipino Catholics. President Marcos Jr. said he is praying that the new Pope will continue to guide the Church closer to the poor and marginalized. He also expressed confidence that Filipinos across the nation will join him in praying for the Holy Father's strength, good health, wisdom, and compassion as he leads the global Catholic community, and further hopes that the new Pope will serve as a beacon of inspiration in people's daily lives. Meanwhile, after 3 rounds of voting, the College of Cardinals has elected Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost as the 267th Supreme Pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. White smoke emerged from the Sistine Chapel chimney just past midnight Manila time, signaling the successful election. Joy emerged at St. Peter's Square as Cardinal Proto-Deacon Dominic Mamberte formally announced Prevost's election and his chosen papal name, Leo XV, or the 14th. In his first Urbi et Orbi blessing, Pope Leo XIV offered prayers for those gathered and expressed gratitude to the cardinal electors and his predecessor, Pope Francis. Born on September 14, 1951 in Chicago, Illinois, Pope Leo is the first Augustinian and the second pope from the Americas. A former missionary in Peru, he was ordained in 1982 and later led the Augustinian order. He held key Vatican posts as under Pope Francis, including Prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops and President of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America. He was elevated to Cardinal in January 2024. The palace has assured the public that Prime Water Infrastructure Corporation will be given due process following calls from Bayan Muna for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to issue an executive order reviewing and canceling its joint venture agreements with local water districts. The palace emphasized that the process could not be rushed, stressing that the law must be followed to ensure that no party is unfairly treated. The administration's response comes amid mounting concerns over alleged irregularities in Prime Water services, which have reportedly affected around 16 million Filipinos. Malacanang also confirmed that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has already ordered an investigation into the matter, now being led by the Local Water Utilities Administration, or LOA. The table is set. The main dish, all prepped and good to go, and service hours are from early morning to early evening on Monday, with all those with invites urged to come to be counted and served. Our Luisa Irispe has more on the pole body declaring itself 100% ready for Monday's big event.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is all systems go for the 2025 midterm elections. According to COMELEC, as of now, they are monitoring reports and putting up contingency measures in case of emergencies on the election day.
Handa po ang COMELEC. Siyempre, lagi sa isang operation, sa isang ganito, meron biglang pumapasok na problema, issue. Ang importante, intact yung aming contingency measures, intact yung aming operation plan sa kung ano ang gagawin ng komisyon pagka mga ganito.
In case of calamities, the poll body has also tasked people to assure that the elections will push through. Their main goal for this national and local elections is that there will be no failure of election or postponement of the political exercise.
Sana sa ganung pagkakataon, sana po walang postponement ng eleksyon na mangyayari at sana wala ng failure of election sa kahit na anong presinto sa buong bansa.
On the other hand, the poll body reminded candidates that the campaign period will end at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. As much as possible, candidates must have their posters removed before Saturday. On election day, they should not engage in any form of campaigning. They are also not allowed to bring supporters when casting their vote, and any kind of solicitation, even through food or free rides, is also prohibited. Distributing sample ballots on polling place is also banned. Anyone caught may be held liable for violating the election code.
Babala natin pagkatapos bumoto o bago bumoto, huwag na lang pong ikot ng ikot sa polling place kasi baka ma-consider pa yan na pangangampanya. Dapat po dire-diretso na lang sa pagboto, dire-diretso na rin tayo sa ating pong pag-uwi.
The polling places will open at 5 in the morning for senior citizens, PWDs, and pregnant women. But for regular voters, precincts will allow them to vote from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening.
Huwag na po natin habulin yung eksakto alas 7. Although naintindihan natin yung iba, maaaring may mga inaasikaso pa kaya hindi kaagad sila nakakaboto na maaga. Pero mas maaga po, mas maganda.
Meanwhile, the palace announced that international election watchdogs are in the Philippines to observe the upcoming elections. According to palace press officer Attorney Claire Castro, this is a clear proof that the elections in the Philippines is organized and transparent.
Para sa hangaring malinis at tapat na halalan, nagsama-sama ang lahat ng election watchdogs mula sa mga pribadong organisasyon, simbahan, kabataan at iba pang sektor. Sa kanilang mahigpit na pagbabantay, matitiyak na ang bawat boto ay mabibilang ng tama at ang bawat boses ng mamamayan ay maririnig.
From PTV Manila, Luisa Irispe, Balitang Pambansa.
The Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas senatorial candidates are making a final push as the 2025 elections approach. They credit President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s support for their strong survey performance. Key figures like Representative Erwin Tulfo, former Senators Tico Soto and Panfilo Lacson, and others highlighted the importance of this backing. Some candidates, such as former Senator Manny Pacquiao and former DILG Chief Benher Abaluz, have actively campaigned in various regions. Senator Bong Revilla urged citizens to vote, while Representative Camille Villar was supported by her family in her campaign efforts. On the other news, Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. said he wasn't surprised by the recent harassment of a Philippine Navy ship by Chinese warships near Bajo de Masinloc, calling it as something to be expected. He stressed, though, that despite these harassments from China, the Philippines will continue patrols in the West Philippine Sea to defend its sovereignty. Meanwhile, the Balikatan 2025 elections with the Philippine and U.S. forces concluded with advanced defense systems deployed and plans already underway for next year's drills. Several lawmakers have expressed doubt over the timing and motivation behind the attempted filing of an impeachment complaint against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. House Speaker Martin Romualdez downplayed the development, saying the impeachment bid appears unlikely to prosper, while others noted the timing of the move was questionable, given that the 19th Congress is nearing its end and the upcoming national elections are just around the corner. Meanwhile, members of the Makabayan bloc directly labeled the move as diversionary tactic, suggesting it was orchestrated to divert public attention away from alleged accountability issues involving the Duterte family, and described it as politically motivated and lacking in merit. Passenger numbers at Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITX, have increased by 10 to 15% ahead of the 2025 elections, with many traveling to vote in provinces like Bicol Region, 4A, the Visayas, and Mindanao. Bus companies are fully booked, but PITX has added more buses. Around 1.2 million passengers are expected between May 5 and the day after the election. Now, just outside the Pampanga capital, authorities have seized over 1.7 million pesos worth of smuggled white onions, only to discover that they are contaminated with salmonella. Now, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, is warning the public, think twice before buying those unusually large onions. As our Noel Talakay tells us more.
Inside these two trailer trucks parked in front of Pampanga capital are more than 3,000 sacks of smuggled white onion from China, with an estimated worth of 1.7 million pesos, according to the report of the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group of Pampanga. It entered from Subic Port but was entrapped or caught in Mexico, Pampanga on April 26 this year.
Yung naka-declared po sa document niya ay chicken karagi chips. So, frozen meat yung nakalagay doon. Pero yung karga nung truck nila is sibuyas po.
Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. personally inspected the stash this morning. Maybe these sacks of onions look good on the surface and up close, but the Secretary revealed,
ang masama dito ay positive siya for microbiologicals, may salmonella.
Since these sacks of onions are not for consumption due to salmonella contamination, the DA will instead dispose of them. The agency also speculates that some of these sacks of onions have already proliferated in the public market and have been distributed in Divisoria, Manila, and some public markets in Central Luzon, according to the report of the PNP-CIDG. The DA Secretary underscores that his agency did not issue any permit for imported white onions since the country still has enough supply supply of onions. He also stresses his office and the PNP CIDG will do everything in their power to hold into account all persons involved in this smuggling incident. Based on the latest daily price monitoring DA, the current price of onions ranges from 90 up to 160 pesos per kilo depending on size and quality. From PTV Manila, Noel Talakay, Balitang Pambansa.
And provincial reports when we return. Stay tuned.
Walang isyung palalampasin dahil walang hinto ang paghahatid ng mahalagang balita hanggang weekend. Kasama sinambaan makapagal, Patrick De Jesus at Daniel Manalastas. Ulat Bayan Weekend, Sabado at Linggo, alas 6 ng gabi, dito lang sa inyong Pambansang TV. Disaster Watch. Mga paalala pagkatapos ng lindol. Suriin ang iyong sarili at mga kasama kung may tinamong pinsala. Magbigay ng paunang lunas kung kailangan. Unahin ang mga pangangailangan ng mga matatanda, buntis, may kapansanan at mga bata. Kung nasa tabing dagat at may banta ng tsunami, agad na lumikas papunta sa ligtas at mataas na lugar. Suriin kung may natapong nakalalasong kemikal at mga bagay na maaaring pagmula ng sunog. Huwag bumalik sa loob ng gusali hanggat walang abiso na ligtas na ito. Sa panahon ng sakuna, dapat laging listo.
From the realms of history and the arts to the latest in science and technology, Stories from the Grid brings you the very best of Voice of America's groundbreaking programs. The Inside Story, VOA Connect, and USA Global Media Direct. With every story shared, we foster understanding across different cultures and perspectives. Be inspired by voices from around the globe. Stories from the Grid. Only here on your People's Television.
Karamihan sa amin ay nag-asawa na lang, walang pinag-aralan, hindi po kami educated. Bakit ipinanganak ako na IP ako na parang walang mga opportunity na para sa amin?
Nagbabaon kami, kanin lang, ang ulam, bagong, gano'n. Talagang wala nang kaya ang magulang ko.
Hango sa kwento ng mga totoong tao. Tahanan ng mga award-winning documentaries. Public Eye sa PTV.
And we are back. A new species of tarantula has been discovered in the island of Romblon, or the province of Romblon, highlighting the country's rich biodiversity and the growing contributions of local scientists in global research. Paul Hyacinth Foss of the Philippine Information Agency, Mimaropa, tells us more.
A team of researchers from the University of Santo Tomas, in collaboration with Romblon State University and the Tiraposid research team in Germany, has identified a new species of tarantula in the province of Romblon. The new species has been named Selenoborachis ostromsopacius, a name that honors multiple Philippine research institutions including UST, RSU, MSU-IIT, UP Diliman, and the Philippine Aeronautical Society. Despite their large and hairy appearance, experts remind the public that most tarantulas, like this new species, are not dangerous to humans, with venom often no more harmful than a bee sting. The discovery was officially published in the international journal Zookis on March 31, 2025, as part of a study that also reclassifies two tarantula genera. The research also supports a Department of Science and Technology-funded initiative called Gagamba, which aims to explore potential medical applications for spider venom. The study, led by UST researchers Darrell Acuña, Maria Micaela Dombroque, Lawrence Riam Ragaza, and others, along with RSU scientist and German aranologist Volker von Wirth. The Philippines is home to several tarantula species, including the well-known Philippine tangerine, and this new discovery continues to show the country's significance in global biodiversity and research innovation. From the Philippine Information Agency Mimaropa, Paul Jason Foss, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. took Senator
All the way, Alyansa! All the way, Alyansa! Mabuhay ang Alyansa para sa bagong Pilipinas! Mabuhay po kayong lahat!
With only 3 days left before the Hatol ng Bayan 2025, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas meeting the Avance in Mandaluyong City, one of Metro Manila's busiest business hubs. During his speech, the chief executive personally campaigned and reiterated the outstanding track records of the Alyansa senatorial bets. They include Senators Francis Tolentino, Lito Lapid, Bong Revilla, and Pia Cayetano, former Senators Tito Soto, Ping Lacson, and Manny Pacquiao, Makati City Mayor Abby Binay, former DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos, and Congressman Erwin Tulfo and Camille Villar.
Sa huling pagkakataon na iharap sa inyo ang ating mga senador. May harap sa inyo ang grupo na sa aming pananaw, ang pinakamagaling na dapat uupo sa Senado. Ang pinakamahusay na dapat umupo sa Senado. Ang pinaka nagmamahal sa bansa at sa taong bayan na dapat umupo sa Senado.
President Marcos Jr. also highlighted various achievements of his administration from the economy to the agriculture and health sectors.
Ngayong taon, mas pinalaki po natin ang saklaw ng mga benepisyo sa PhilHealth. Ang gamutan para sa pneumonia, sa operasyon ng cesarean, sa breast cancer, sa dialysis, dengue, asthma at iba pa. Mas malaki na po ang kokobera ng PhilHealth kesa sa dati.
He then stressed to sustain these initiatives and development, it is really important for Filipinos to vote for the right candidates on May 12.
Dito lang po makikita ang alyansa na hindi nanggugulo. Ang nais nilang gawin pag upo nila sa Senado ay hindi manggulo, hindi magagawa ng mga problema, kung hindi maghahanap ng solusyon sa problema, magtrabaho ng tapat at mapag-aralan ng masinsinan kung ano ba ang dapat gawin para sa ating mga kababayan.
From PTV, Melalas Moras, Balitang Pambansa.
Catanduanes Bishop Luisito Oxiano looked back at his moments with Pope Francis when he had the chance to meet late Pontiff personally. Analiza Makatangay of Philippine Information Agency Bicol has the details.
Days after Pope Francis' burial, Catanduanes Bishop Luisito Oxiano reflects on the profound blessing of having met him personally. He vividly remembers Pope Francis' warm aura, who, despite the rain, remained undeterred in his mission to bless the Filipino faithful.
In 2015, it was a blessing already to see him, but it was in September 2024, as a new bishop, I was able to touch his hand, kiss his ring, and I asked him to bless me as a new bishop. It was a wonderful experience that I will always remember and I will always thank God for. So, pagdasal po natin si Pope Francis.
Oxiano cherished the memory of the Pope's smile as he blessed his spectral cross and the encouraging thumbs up he received while asking for prayers for himself and the Diocese of Iraq. These brief encounters impacted Oxiano's faith and significantly shaped his ministry. Before he was appointed Bishop of the Archdiocese of Iraq Catanduanes on June 25, 2024, Oxiano served as the parish priest of San Jose Parish in San Jose, Camarines Sur, and he was a dedicated chairman of the Cáceres Commission on Communications, or CICICOM, for nearly 2 decades. The bishop also had the opportunity to meet the 267th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, His Eminence Robert Francis Cardinal Prevost, during their onboarding seminar of new bishops in Rome last September 2024. In a post, he said, "It is a blessing to meet His Holiness before being elected as Pope, a very humble and brilliant successor of Saint Peter, Vicar of Christ." He called Filipinos to pray for his pontificate. Quote, "Viva il Papa." For Balitang Pambansa, Analiza Makatangay, reporting from PIA Bicol.
Jumu'ah Mubarak, and that concludes a rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again next week at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. And of course, our coverage for the Hatol ng Bayan for the upcoming elections 2025. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Abiba Saripaudak, and this is your Balitang Pambansa.